great to have you all here during this talk about mobile app development and testing done right with TestFairy. My name is Wim Selles. I'm a senior solutions architect at Sauce Labs, and as many people might know, I'm in love with mobile. And because of that, I invited Yair, our newest colleague at Sauce Labs. So hi Yair, how are you doing? And can you also introduce yourself a little bit more and explain what you do at Sauce Labs?
Hi there. Thank you for having me. Doing great to be part of Sauce Labs. I'm a TestFairy CEO and co-founder, and as we'll explain very soon, we built TestFairy to help mobile teams improve their mobile lifecycle and build better mobile apps.
What we all know, a lot of our customers might have a lot of experience with releasing web applications, and when you have a web application, you can basically instantly release to production new features. If you have a bug fix, you can release it to production, or if you need to roll back something, it's pretty easy to do that. But if we look back to mobile app development, there's a big difference. Can you also explain a little bit more about the software development lifecycle for mobile native applications?
Absolutely. CI/CD is meaningful when working on mobile for many reasons. First of all, when you have a new version, it's not that you ship it and the next people that load your website see the new code. People need to actually install and upgrade to the next version. So at any point of your life cycle, you have multiple versions running in parallel. In addition, by definition, mobile is remote, especially with the new climate where people don't even work in the office together. So if there's a problem with a mobile device, either in testing and in production, it is always remote. The developer is not there to see the problem. They cannot get to the next room and look at this bug and go back and fix it and go back to that team and see how that fix works. So one of the things that we did in TestFairy, and I'll show how that works, is allowing users to see remotely what's happening on a mobile device, and with that, understand where the problems are. Another important aspect is the variety of devices. There are tens of thousands of Android devices. There are a few hundreds configurations of iPhone devices. And the complexity of all that matrix of OS version and device type and lots of other configurations and environment devices, your reception, your location, your movement with your mobile phone, that makes things very interesting in mobile, and that makes us very excited.
We already had a lot of automation. We're using Appian to automate our native application. But what can TestFairy do to help customers also use that manual feedback, that feedback directly from the app? Is there anything that TestFairy can help customers with?
Absolutely. So I think that any company that you've been talking to ever does both manual testing and automation. It goes together. The automatic process of testing software products is critical for every process. And with that comes manual testing of people actually test your app and see how it works. Many of our clients do an internal beta test with thousands of employees. One good example is Groupon. Groupon is running an internal dog food process with thousands of people who test the app on a continuous, never-ending process. Every time an app is released, it is shipped first to company employees who use it to order their lunch deliveries, for example. So they actually use the app a few weeks before their real audience sees that, and they iron out problems that the R&D or the automatic process didn't discover, and they find new issues all the time. In addition to that, when real people use your product on that mobile thing, they use it in a way that developers didn't expect. They think differently. And when you write your automatic scripts, you write it as if you would imagine that the customer will use your product. And then you realize that your fellow in the next office company employee was ordering lunch and clicking on the wrong buttons. And you can improve your process and understand how people use your app and how they actually find problems. So we see that with every company we talk to, those processes complete each other and interact. And that's something that we're working really hard now together between Sauce and TestFairy, which is one family now, to make this whole process holistic and make it work better.
Okay, great. And also a great example about Groupon. And if we go a little bit back to that example of Groupon, you said they ordered their lunch. What I can imagine now is that we can get questions about, okay, if I order lunch, I need to enter, for example, my credit card credentials or my banking account. Is there anything that we could do for security level, or what can TestFairy do for that?
That's a great question. One of the reasons customers like us is security. And we're very happy to provide a few levels of security that solve security and privacy problems. One, and the first one is encryption. You can encrypt your TestFairy sessions with your private keys, meaning you'll create a public key and a private key with OpenSSL, a standard protocol that you have on your computer. You'll use the public key to initialize the SDK on your app, and you'll use the private key to decrypt the sessions on your browser. In between, end to end, all the data is encrypted. So we as a cloud provider, we cannot see your sessions. So that's one aspect of security. Another aspect of security is hiding specific areas on the field, on the screen, that should not be seen by anyone. A credit card is a good example for that. You don't want anybody in your team, including anybody, to see a credit card number. It's just shouldn't be there. So with the SDK, you can hide specific areas in the field and black them out before the data is uploaded to the server. So when the data is on the server, it's already too late to see that number, and it's blacked out, and it will be blacked out throughout the whole recording. So that information is safe and kept well.
Okay, cool. And we forgot to mention that if people already have questions, they can just ask the questions in the Q&A section, and we're happy to answer them already immediately in this session. And one of the questions we already had is kind of like, it's awesome now to talk about TestFairy. It's nice to talk, but can we see it? Can we kind of like what you explain also from a security aspect? Can we just see what TestFairy can do for customers and how it will help them increase the app quality and release with more confidence to production?
Guess what? I was waiting for this question, and I have a demo ready. Shall we start with that?
Great. Yeah, awesome.
So TestFairy is an all-in-one platform for helping mobile teams with their day-to-day activities. There's a life cycle of releasing an app, testing it, shipping it, and doing lots of activities that today you probably want to do or do with different tools. With TestFairy, you can do it all in one. It starts with app distribution. With app distribution, you can release your app to the right people in the organization. Make sure that the right people download the app and have access to the right version. It can sync to your single sign-on. We'll show it later on. So if you have a group in Okta that shows that is dev, QA, sales, and you want to have an app available only to dev, you don't need to recreate those groups in TestFairy. You can sync them with Okta. Session video recording allows you to see what users did while using your product. This allows you to fully understand what happened before it crashed or before something went wrong. And this is critical, especially in today's climate where people are remote by definition. In a bug reporting allows you to easily report bugs by shaking your phone. And you can shake your device, sketch on the screen, and hit the send button. That allows users to easily report bugs. The easier it is to report bugs, the more bugs you have. And the higher of a chances that this critical bug that you were looking for or might pop up in production will show up at the right time during testing. Our integration with Sauce Real Device Cloud, we'll talk a lot about that in a few minutes, but part of the integration we did between TestFairy and Sauce is allowing you to deploy apps from TestFairy directly to your cloud devices, making it one process. It's a one life cycle, allowing you to do all those activities. And remote support is the ability of users to report bugs from production. The quality cycle doesn't end when the app is released. It's just another step in quality. When you have real users using your app in prod, they might have problems. And by using remote support, real users will be able to report bugs from prod directly to your support team and to Jira. Crash reporting, of course, is a commodity. There are so many tools that do that. TestFairy includes a crash reporting capability built in the SDK. We'll talk also about our internal app store, which is the internal repository of all your apps and all the versions of every app. So there's no need anymore to send apps manually to people. If somebody needs an app, they know where to find it. It's the internal repository of all the apps, all the versions. classified by tags, by release notes, by names, anything that you need in order to find those repositories in a very easy way. This is a TestFairy session. What you see here is what the user did on the screen, where they touched the screen, what was their exact experience. If something went wrong, you can fully understand what that user did before that bug or before there was an issue. This video is also translated to events, so you can see here every tap, every gesture, every network call. For example, here at second number 9, there was a 404 error. There was a call from the client to the server and trying to load an image. That image wasn't found on the server. So everything that happened here is logged in a very easy to read format. In addition, we'll get all the logs from the device and show them in a very easy to read format. When talking about logs, we have here NSLog on iOS, Logcat on Android, and our remote logging SDK that allows you to send logs that you wouldn't send or write to the disk on regular days, but you want to send to the server in other occasions. These logs are also available via API and via integrations we have with several logging services that allow you to get your logs in a centralized location.
Does this mean that everything from a test session from an end user is recorded even before the crash happened?
Yes, the recommendation is to start the recording the minute the app starts, because when you have a problem in testing, you don't always know when the problem started. Sometimes the user will say, I clicked on a button and then it didn't work. But what matters for you as a developer is what happened a minute before or 2 minutes before or 3 minutes before. And when there's a problem, it's actually too late to decide to start the recording. So in test, we would recommend to start recording the minute the app starts. And since this is testing, there's no real problem with privacy here.
Well, I wish we had this when I was working at a company in the Netherlands when we developed our app. It would have made life much easier, because otherwise, if you get a bug from a customer from production, it's an email or it's kind of like a phone call, like the app is not working. And now you have immediate feedback about what was happening before the crash. Awesome.
You can imagine that this is exactly the scenario how TestFairy started.
And you also mentioned there's an easy way to report bugs. And can you also explain and show us how to do that as an end user of TestFairy?
Absolutely. As you can see here on the screen, this is an example how users can report bugs with TestFairy. All you need to do is shake your device and sketch on the screen and hit the send button. So when a user wants to report a bug and say that this button is not working, they can actually circle out this button and say, that's my problem. If you make it easy for users to report bugs, they will be more likely to report that problem that they actually had right now and not postpone it to later or think that somebody else might report that bug, or even say, no, somebody might call me and ask for explanations and I don't want to get on a call. So all those excuses on why not to report that bug will go away if it'll be easy and you'll do it in just 2 seconds and keep going with your work or with activities that you did. And this is a Jira issue that was opened by TestFairy. What you can see here is the exact screenshot that the user sent us, the video that explains how to reproduce this bug. This is playing as a widget in Jira. You can see the timeline explaining how to reproduce this problem step by step with all the information that I showed in the session overview before. If there's a crash, we'll symbolicate that crash and put the stack trace here in a well-readable format. All the logs are uploaded, so you can see here all the logs from that specific session. This is an example for a perfect bug report that I would want any user in my team to put in Jira, but it takes a lot of time to put the logs and screenshots and videos and explanations and step-by-step description. If we can do that programmatically, we'll save every team on the planet so much time. One more thing that I'll show here is that we can populate every field in Jira with the right information. That was a Google Pixel 3 XL with an Android 10, with that IP, with that username, with that business logic. So we can populate those fields if that was a free user or a paid user. If that's a game with 10 levels, we can put in Jira that that bug was reported on 11.7. So when that product manager wants to see all the bugs in level 7, he can filter out those issues in Jira. If we'll allow you to group those bugs, prioritize them, and filter them in Jira, will make your work more efficient. And that's our main goal here.
A few slides back, you mentioned that there's an easy way to integrate with different tools. And Jira is one of them. It's on-prem and also the cloud service. But Do you have more?
We work both with Jira On-Prem and Jira Cloud. We work with GitHub Issues, Slack, Trello. Practically any tool that you'll need to manage your internal issues will integrate with. We have an open API that allows you to connect to almost anything. We have a project called TestFairy Connect. We can share more information about it later. And that can connect to any service, even if your Jira is behind firewall installed under strict security guidelines, we will connect to that Jira easily.
In one of the previous slides, you also mentioned app storage and TestFairy. Do you have a separate app storage then for TestFairy?
So absolutely. One of the first actions I showed on the first slide that described the TestFairy actions as the app distribution. And what you can see here is the TestFairy dashboard. For every app in TestFairy, there are multiple ways to distribute your apps to users. We see different organizations work in different ways. It depends on what fits best your team. So you can customize the service and customize the experience for your team and for your multiple teams in the org. It starts with the landing pages. Every app in TestFairy has a landing page that allows you to share your app with users just by sharing this URL. So send this URL either in Slack or in email, or put it on a billboard in your office kitchen, and people will be able to download the app by scanning the QR code or clicking on the button. This landing page is very easy to customize. You can change the layout, the logo. You'll have your tags, your release notes uploaded from Jenkins, propagating through the system. So this page will always be correct with the latest version of your app. Another option, which is very useful, is to use the internal app store. The internal app store, as I mentioned, is the repository, the internal repository of all your apps that were uploaded to TestFairy. For every app, you can see all the versions that were uploaded. And for every version, you can see the tags, the release notes, and you can easily find the right app for the right people in the team. If we're talking to a very large company, you can create segments of users and divide them to groups so that every group will see different sets of apps. For example, the team in Europe wants to see the German app, and the team in the US cares less about other languages. So there's no need to show everybody all the assets. Show the right teams what they need to see. For every app, you can download the app in a very easy format. And one of our newest integration is the ability to deploy the app in Sauce Labs. In one click, I'm deploying the app to Sauce. And this new integration allows you to directly deploy it on the real device cloud in Sauce and choose a device that will run this specific app. So just think of the scenario where you need to reproduce a bug on a specific device like this Google Pixel 2 that you don't have in your lab. You have the app on your internal app store. In one click, you deploy it to Sauce Labs and reproduce this problem and solve your issue. Just think of how much time you save by doing these things automatic.
Is there also a way that if, for example, one user reported a bug, that we can push that specific app to a user?
Absolutely. That's a basic option that you always had. If you open the app and choose a specific version that needs to be sent to a user, for example, let's choose version 195. We can invite users. We can choose this user and just add a few words in the release notes and send the app. This user will now get an email inviting them to install the app. One thing that is very important that I didn't mention is how easily it is to configure security groups to make sure that only the right people will have access to your app. Think about a scenario where you have so many groups in your company and you want to make sure that the group in New York have access to this project and the group in San Francisco has access to a different project. That is very easy to do. If you open the security groups screen, you can choose that this app will be available for marketing and management and QA. That's it. If you just want QA San Francisco to access, not a problem. This is very easy to do. And as I said, it will sync with your corporate single sign-on if required.
If we go a little bit back about the integrations, we already mentioned Jira. Slack is pretty hot currently. Can we also have an integration with Slack?
Integrations is one of our key advantages, I would say. And that's something that is very interesting for the enterprise world. When you get to a company, they already have so many tools they work with. And the last thing that they want to do is change because a new platform came in. And one of the things that we must do is adopt and talk to everybody. So you can see here the network architecture of TestFairy and how we can connect to your elements in the organization. It starts with your CI. We'll connect to any CI. When the app is uploaded to TestFairy, we'll distribute it to users. We'll talk to your single sign-on to make sure that this user is authorized. So we're compatible with Okta and Ping and OneLogin and Google and Microsoft and any single sign-on that you might be using. And then when there's a problem, we'll upload that problem from the device to the TestFairy cloud and push it to your issue management system, such as Jira or GitHub Issues or Micro Focus or other systems. If there's a problem that needs the customer support, we can push it to Intercom or to Zendesk. Or if you want to get a notification on Slack, of course, it will happen immediately. So making those integrations easy to manage, that's definitely a key advantage.
In this picture, we also see single sign-on, kind of like this is also tied to security. How secure is also the cloud now?
TestFairy is a secure solution, period. So it comes on a private cloud, which is a dedicated environment just for your company. It can have a permitted list of IPs that will only allow to access the service. And you'll have audit logs connected to your external audit log system. And it comes with encryption. So we can encrypt the data end to end. Those bullets of a private cloud, single sign-on, IP whitelist, and encryption provides 4 layers of a very strong security solution that works with every enterprise we work with. And that's very important for our companies to keep their information secure.
You've seen a lot of companies do different types of testing, but what is your advice for successful beta testing for large organizations?
But that's a great question, and we've definitely seen a lot of those processes. And I will mention a few points. First, make it easy for users to install that app. If the installation process is complicated, it will not happen. Second, make it easy for users to report bugs. I don't want them to go to Jira and open a ticket or send me an email or upload screenshots or send me logs or get on a phone call. Make it easy for them to report a bug, and by saying easy, it should take them 3 seconds. Report that bug in an easy format. And the next bullet is make those bugs meaningful for the R&D. If somebody will send me a bug saying the app is not working, there's nothing I can do with that. But if they'll say the app is not working and I have a video and log and a screenshot and understanding what happened before the user said not working, that might be a beautiful bug report. So make those bugs meaningful. And last is integrate with the existing services you have in your team. If your team likes to work with Slack, connect it to Slack. If you guys like Trello, work with Trello. If Jira is the system in the organization, work with Jira and populate the right fields in Jira to make the existing process more powerful and work better. And all that will improve the quality of your products and help you release better apps and shorter development cycles.
Oh, great tips. Thank you, Yair, also for giving us a demo about TestFairy and also how it can help organizations release better quality apps with real user feedback. For now, Yair, thank you for explaining all our attendees the ins and outs of TestFairy.
Thank you so much. And we'll stay here for a few more minutes to answer the questions in the chat. So if anybody has a question, just write down now your question and we will answer them in real time.
If there's anything else you want to know about TestFairy and how it can help you and your organization, then please contact SauceLabs. We're happy to answer all the questions you have, and enjoy the rest of the conference.